Okay, the dog days of August have turned into fall. We're heading down to crunch time. We're a couple weeks away from that opener against Howard. How did the scrimmage go? Let's get to it. As the calendar flips, so has the weather, and enjoying this nice, kind of cooler weather. It's not so much the dog days of August, but you can kind of feel in the air that we're heading towards September, and that means it's football season and Rutgers football. Yeah, we had a scrimmage the other day, and a lot of chatter about it, and I have to say, as I've said in other videos, I'm feeling pretty good. Why am I feeling pretty good? That's because Coach Shiano's demeanor, his vibe, is more relaxed and upbeat. And I've said this before, when he's on edge, I'm a little worried. Why is that? Because if he's on edge, he kind of knows that because of a lack of depth and the ability to have players that can execute their game plan on the field, if that's at risk, he's a little bit edgy. But I love that he's feeling a little bit more relaxed, calm, and upbeat in addition to being his usual analytical self. Had some good reports out of the scrimmage. The overall 30,000-foot view of the scrimmage is, whether it's NJ.com or whether it's, guys from the Big Ten Network, that the offense is looking better, especially the passing game. And whenever you hear that, things that warms the cockles of our heart, because that's not something we've heard in a while. We all know about the struggles at the quarterback position over the past several years, and this camp has kind of proven to be a little more what we're looking for. I've talked about how, and I know football fans hate this terminology or this term, but if we had had a game manager in the past, we would have been able to win some games that would have put us in a better position to be have a winning record and a bowl game. But that's not just to say, a game manager is a quarterback who doesn't have a great arm, but he understands the game, knows where he wants to throw the ball, and he's accurate. We need someone who actually knows where to put the ball for ball placement, how to run an offense, and actually has the arm to be able to hit those quick outs, the screen passes, and the deep passes. And I think Athan Kaliakmanis is that guy. Coach Shiano said, he's never going to give away how he actually feels about something. Either way, the balance of the scales are not going to be tipped one way or the other. But when he says positive things and, we need a couple things to work on, that things are looking pretty good. He's the coach that even after a win, if he can find a couple things that can pick out that a team needs to work on, that were negatives that need to be improved upon, he's that guy. Nonetheless, Coach Shiano did say, had some good things, and other times he said, thank goodness it's practice 12. I wouldn't expect anything else from Coach Shiano. He said Athan missed a couple deep balls. I'm not so concerned about that. If that's the worst that Coach Shiano has to say, I have to say things are looking up. Outside observers, whether it be the Big Ten or Brian Fonseca at NJ.com or Mike and Richie from the Night Report, by all reports, the passing game is far ahead of years past. And, once again, you think about the Jets and how elite their defense is and how bad their offense was, especially at the quarterback position. If they had just had average play at the quarterback position, they'd be much better than they've been the past couple of years. You can say the same thing about Rutgers. So our quarterback play, our passing game, has been better this camp. And to, have to say, the Big Ten was in town a couple days ago. Yogi Roth from the Big Ten. Big Ten had a lot of positive things to say about their visit to Rutgers and about how they felt comfortable and they had a good time and how Rutgers was very accommodating. Nonetheless, he said the passing game, quarterback position, the anticipation, timing, and tempo were more explosive. That's terminology you never hear about Rutgers and the passing game being explosive. Now, we don't have to be explosive. We don't have to be Ohio State. But if we have the ability to make plays in the passing game where we're not so predictable with the run and able to execute even a short to mid-range passing game and be able to hit something deep every now and again, that'll help keep defenses honest. And Kyle Monangai and Sam Brown and a very deep running back room should be able to take advantage of that by having more balance, not being so predictable, and just execute an offense that has rhythm. We kind of, even when we've had some good drives and Kyle was doing his thing, the offense was always a little choppy, right? We felt that, okay, we know what we're doing on first down and second down and third down and possibly fourth down. And we've talked about Gavin, don't want to beat him up, but his ball placement and ability to execute in the short to mid-range passing game was not great. So that led for a choppy experience. Third and one, fourth, third and two, fourth and one, fourth and two. Not being able to extend plays in the passing game kind of put us in the position quite regularly where we didn't know what to expect, and we didn't really have confidence in the offense to move the ball regularly downfield unless Kyle broke something big. So now, I think with our more controlled passing game, a more accurate passing game, I think Coach Schiano's quote was that we have now in Athan Kaliakmanis a more accurate passer than we've had. Coming out of him, that's pretty big praise. That means that he feels confident in our ability to at least execute some of what we need to do in order to be a competent, efficient, and Big Ten offense. We also said about the receivers, it's kind of a little bit of a mixed bag. He basically said that we have a few guys that we can count on, and we know who that is: Dymere Miller, Ian Strong, and Christian Gerald. But then he says about the young guys, they have really good receivers, and he always qualifies things by saying, need some work, they need experience. But he said, we need to get them into space and let them go. So to me, that is just not an abstract thought. To me, he understands what he has, and he knows what those guys can do, what those young receivers can do. And if he feels that we can get them in the space and get them, and they'll be open, we just need to get them the ball, and we can make some game-breaking plays. And that is a big change, not only in our ability to execute a passing offense, but in Coach Schiano's mindset insofar as how he sees our offense and passing game. When was the last time that we had guys at wide receiver that you could put in open space and know if you can get the ball to them, they'd get it in space and they'd be able to turn a big play, a short game into a big play? It's probably been at least 10 years, Leonte Carew. So it's not just about execution and scheme, yada, yada, yada. It's about Coach Schiano's, how he sees this team's talent and their ability to make big plays. That's a big change for us. The O-line, a little bit of a surprise. I mean, he did say what we all kind of knew. The O-line is set, but Coach Shiano was really, really vague on the center right side of the line. Again, he said, well, the O-line is set, but he talked about how, well, we haven't figured out the depth yet. But he didn't really name names on, we kind of figured out the left side. But what's the right side going to be like? Is it going to be, who's going to be the starter? Who's going to rotate in? Are we going to have a 7-deep lineup on the offensive line? Is it going to be Cedric Rhodes starting? Is it going to be Kobe Asamoah? I mean, Reggie Sutton. I mean, we can kind of figure out, I guess, based on what's going on in camp. And, Richie and Mike always say on the night report, they can't really say. They're kind of sworn to secrecy, but you can kind of figure out where they're going. You bring in a guy in Cedric Rhodes from Ohio, who you assume is going to be the starter. But can you really afford to not have him as a starter unless he's in a rotation? What's that rotation going to look like? Is it going to be strictly a right side rotation, or are you going to rotate guys up and down the line to keep them fresh and to mitigate injury? A little bit vague on that, but I sense that he feels that the depth is good enough at the offensive line position to be able to at least be more than competitive in the Big Ten. And when Coach Shiano's feeling comfortable with that, things are looking up. Good problem to have, whether it's the wide receiver room or the offensive line, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to work guys in. That's something we didn't really have, and we really couldn't afford to spend too much time thinking about, because we really didn't have anything in the past few years. Nonetheless, some of the other things from scrimmage, newfangled stuff, coach-player communication electronically, and on tablets. You have to give Coach Shiano credit, whether it's NIL or technology. You know how us middle-aged guys are with that stuff. He's very adamant about keeping up with the times and to be able to communicate with your players. There's a time limit on it now. It's 35 seconds. They have to get used to that. That could be a little sketchy. I could imagine seeing a story in the future where a play breaks down. It was because, the 35-second time limit expired and you couldn't really get in the play that you wanted to get. Nonetheless, they're able to see on their iPads whatever play they want to see replayed. Back in the day, if you're watching the NFL and you see the guys on Thanksgiving Day on the bench going over photographs from a previous series, no more photographs. Now you're going to be able to see the play live right after it happens on a tablet. So that was something that's going to be a little different this year, along with the special teams and kickoffs. Things are shaping up to be a little more positive and a little more focused and a little more predictable this year. In the years past, a lot of unpredictability with injuries. Who's going to start at quarterback? What's our depth like? How are guys progressing? I sense and I feel that Coach Shiano is more comfortable, which makes me more comfortable with how we're heading into game number 1 against Howard. And our depth, he still has that little bit of, a little bit of secrecy. Yeah, we're not quite sure how these positions are going to shake out depth-wise. And he'll always have that Belichickian aspect to him. But I sense that things are going pretty well right now by his upbeat and relaxed nature. That's a big barometer for me. So look forward to Howard in a few weeks. Last bit of business. there's a lot of focus on Rutgers now. People are finally kind of catching up to us. We're not the redheaded stepchild anymore. Apologies to any redheaded gingers out there. But when Coach, when he talks about the expectations of what the outside world is saying, he's saying it's like poison. You can't drink it. You got to stay away from it. Just keep working, keep chopping. That's kind of who we are as a program, as a state, as a culture. We're going to keep working to where we need to get to. Congratulations to Rutgers Olympians and Casey Murphy, backup goaltender for women's soccer. Kaliakmanis beating France. I mean, that was a close game. How does France get into the finals in men's and women's basketball? Who knew? Nonetheless, we squeeze out a 1-point victory. Kaliakmanis, ex of Rutgers and the Phoenix Mercury, gets a gold medal. And Sebastian Rivera picks up a bronze, the first Rutgers wrestler to get an Olympic medal. We thought that it might be in the future. Maybe we would have thought that the first Rutgers Olympian to medal might have been Nick Soriano. Nonetheless, Sebastian Rivera gets his bronze. Everybody enjoy the week. Let's have a terrific last couple weeks of August as we head into the fall and Rutgers football and opening day. And we'll talk to you soon.